All right, all right, all right. Enough of that, all that stuff. Welcome to Pieces Pat Paints. I'm Pat. These are pieces. We paint them. That's what we do around here. It's a fun show. We pretty much just hang out and we talk about I don't know, everything and anything. If you like what we do, please give us a like and a subscribe. And yeah, we'll appreciate it. We always appreciate it. It's kind of fun watching the channel grow a little bit. Actually, I didn't check today. I usually check every morning when I wake up and see if we got any subscribers. It's usually a no. It unfortunately was no again. That's okay. Actually, we lost one and gained one, which was wild. It's always interesting. You lose one and gain one. They say that the algorithm sometimes will take away your people who liked you but don't, or subscribe to you but haven't interacted within your videos. If they do that for so long, then it doesn't take or whatever. I don't know. That's what they say. Of course, I'm sure Google denies all of this, but who really knows? We got to pretty much the next part of this show with the Screamer Killer going today. We are gonna do more of this here. I want to hear the ads. I was trying to give us some music. I was behind again. I was busy playing Chevy Chase again with my lovely significant other and partner in all things life, Miss Kristen. So I am a little bit behind what I was hoping to have done today, but that's all right. And I forgot the stupid refrigerator again. One day I'm gonna forget. I thought I was gonna be like perfect on episode 30 because you know like this is supposed to be like. I'm gonna put this mic over here. Stupid ass refrigerator. Hey, maybe that actually might be better. That might be better. I don't know. I always kind of wanted to like put it between my legs like that. That sounded weird. I probably shouldn't have said it like that, but that's all right. Well, hello, Georgianne. It's good to see you. We're hanging out. I'm already being a goofball, so. Anyway, grab yourself something to drink. And hey, the good news is maybe if it came on now, it won't come on later. Oh my gosh. I didn't start drinking coffee till like 20 minutes ago. So I'm a little weird. It's been a slow start to the day. I hope all of you fine folks are doing great on this wonderful day. It is rainy and foggy here. I love rainy and foggy. It's like my jam. I would prefer it if it was like that all the time. Of course, I'm Scottish, so well, like I'm Scottish and like Norse and Welsh and like I'm mostly from British area. So like I love probably ancestral. I love this stuff. Okay, so let's get down to painting. I'm doing too much chatting or yammering and running my mouth. Okay, we're working on this guy today. And he is a magnificent, really good looking dude. So I'm gonna move into his chest because I really want to get this stuff done. See, Georgianne says it's been raining here for days. Yeah, it's they said it was gonna be a wet winter, and they weren't lying. It definitely has been. And then Joyce is back today. Hi, Joyce. She says, yeah, oh yuck, it's foggy up here. I'm about to drive to Tulsa. Yeah, it's if you get, I'm in Choctaw, so I think I'm in between you guys. So yeah, it's already kind of a little bit foggy here, but I think Tulsa will probably be foggier, like Tulsa's. I don't know, Tulsa's always kind of foggier. Oh, we need to get some more of that Naples yellow out. Just saved all my paints down here today, this time, in my drawer. I was smart about it. Again, you know, I don't like to shred my fingers. I like to get tools, man, tools. You can buy these things cheap now too. You can just go get like a junk one. Heck, I think you can probably find them at a pawn shop on the cheap and get you just a junk pair of vice grips and have that on your workbench. That way you don't have to tear up your hands. Sometimes they'll come clean, but most of the time they don't. Most of the time you're really ripping into your fingers, and no one really wants to do that. No one really wants to rip into their fingers. Okay. Now listen, don't get weird in my comment section, because I'm sure there's somebody. But don't get weird. Please and thank you. Be polite about it. See, I need to drink more coffee, y'all. If I don't have coffee, I'm a strange person to be around. See, Joyce says, what are the army of critters just above called? Okay, so all of these are Tyranids, except for this little blue guy. This guy is a space marine for the Ultramarines. So all of these are Tyranids. And Tyranids are in the game. The game is different wars, armies, like you said, that fight each other in different never-ending war. And Tyranids are like, they're kind of like a hive mind space locusts. These particular ones are called termagants. And this one is the one I just finished him up on his. Oh yeah, we need to turn this lamp down. I'm starting to get to where I can tell if it's too bright to get us a good camera shot. So this guy is a termagant. If I can get him to focus, come on, baby. Be nice to us. Well, I probably need to put my gloves on. But anyway, you can kind of get the idea, probably. Oh. Please don't drop him in the paint, Pat. That would really suck. So he's, this is the scheme, the color scheme I want to use on him. And to see how he matches all the other ones. And this one, oh, I forget what this one's called. This was the original test piece when I was starting to come up with the color. Oh, of course, it snaps into place for this one. The camera doesn't like the really tiny pieces. So this one, oh, I forget what this one's called. But this one's kind of like a brain bug, like it thinks. If you've ever seen Starship Troopers, this is kind of like the bugs from Starship Troopers a little bit. And so he has these little other guys too that come with him that are always getting lost. And then this is a prime. This was my second one where the concept got a little bit more refined. And this is a winged Tyranid prime is what this is called. So this is where the color scheme ended up, because I wanted a little bit more jazzy than this guy. And I may come back and touch up his tentacles to make them a little bit more orange like everything else. And then of course the psychophage that we did on camera, because I did this guy before the channel really got started. And then this guy here, this is Lieutenant, formerly Captain, but now Lieutenant Titus. And he is being attacked by a different type of termagant that has the razors here, or Hormagant, I think maybe the name of that one. I don't remember. Anyway, they all have different names and stuff. It's really hard for me to keep up on everything they do with this. I'm more of a D&D guy, so I don't keep up terribly on all this stuff. I'm trying to get back on it because my boys really love it, and I love my boys. I love all my children so much that I will do whatever. If they think it's fun, then I think it's fun, so let's do it. And that's just how I am. And so here we are, painting all of these strange bug things here on the internet because my kids wanted to play games, and I was like, oh, I used to play all sorts of games. I'm a big nerd. And here we go. Alright, let me get back to work. Too much yammering. They came here to watch you paint, man. Alright, so always make sure your brush is nice and wet. And I'm gonna pull this paint blob down a little bit so it don't stick to my lid when I close it. I learned that one the hard way. Alright, so we're just gonna kind of bring this. There we go. We're just gonna bring this in. Get a little bit more water here. When you first get those, yeah, thank gosh it's off. When you first get those higher quality acrylics down, they're a little bit thick. So sometimes you gotta thin them down a little bit to help you do what you're trying to do. And again, we're trying to let that wash really hold the areas for us that it's stuck into. Now, yellow, like we've said several times, along with white, the colors will bleed through it. It's hard to paint in it because of that. So some people get very frustrated with painting yellows and whites. The reason for that being the way it doesn't set up as well. When the pigment dries, it fades a lot. But if you know that going in and you're kind of aware of what you're doing, you can use that to your advantage, which is what we're going to try to do here. And we're going to try to create, through layers and the wash, a very specific look. See, I'm just kind of getting those raised areas. I'm not really painting like straight over all of it. And that's really going to help make it pop out. I keep wanting to do this face, but I haven't made up all my mind on it yet, so I haven't gotten there yet. I'm still deciding on exactly what I want it to look like. But we're going to be doing that pretty soon. Yeah, and the fun thing, like I said, if you make a mistake, just get your brush cleared out. take a little bit of that water. You don't want it too wet, just take a little bit, and we can pull it out of there. Now if you don't let your stuff properly dry before you do that, you cannot do this trick. It won't work. So you gotta let your stuff dry. Oh, that's a little too loud. There we go. I feel like it's blaring in my ear. I don't know, maybe I'm tripping. We'll come back again and we'll paint like over the whole thing, and it'll be less bleed in some spots and more bleed in others. And then we're going to leave those very dark recesses dark, and it'll make it look, give us that look we really want. Segmented. Because the way segmented is the wet, what we want here. Don't be afraid to kind of come through there a couple times too. If you're a little shy that first time, stay a little further back, and then kind of the next pass, get a little closer. That's what we're trying to do anyway. So if you need to kind of like work your way into it, that's okay. That's cool. That's the way to go. It's kind of a technique in it when you do this, because we want it to layer up as we go. We want the very tops to be the most painted. I replayed this same playlist from yesterday because it's so awesome. That John Carpenter thing, I kind of like that kind of sound. Especially for these bugs, they're so... It's very much them. They have that same quality, like The Thing. If you've ever seen The Thing, is another good kind of way to explain a Tyranid. They can adapt like that, where they can kind of change into what they need to be. They'll evolve different types of Tyranids to do different stuff. And normally they're made in different kinds of places. The hive ship typically will make them in space, and they'll get deployed. But there's also like spores and stuff like that that can mutate different parts of the atmosphere and the ground and the creatures and things like that. And so it's like once it gets onto the planet, it can kind of make whatever it needs to make on the planet by consuming what is there. And when they consume those things, then they'll create more bioforms. Is what the lore calls them, is bioforms. It's pretty odd. The universe itself is crazy. It happens you're past the 41st millennium. Actually, I think they have now where you can play in the 30th. They have a 30K, which is called Horus Heresy. But in the universe that it takes place in, Earth is called Holy Terra, and the god emperor sits on a throne, and he's like half dead and half alive. The rumor is he's kept alive by burning the souls of X amount of psychers, which are like wizards, to keep alight this Astronomicon, which is like the lighthouse of the galaxy, so that humanity can travel the stars. It's really wild stuff. if you like sci-fi and you like that gritty kind of sci-fi, not the clean, pretty sci-fi. If you're more of a Blade Runner, Aliens, Dune sci-fi, and less of a Star Wars kind of sci-fi. Star Wars has a little bit of these kind of tropes in it, but not. Star Wars is kind of clean and fun and swashbuckly. It's supposed to be. It's supposed to be kind of a. They're actually based on old samurai movies, which are, here's the hero and the hero goes to face the bad guy, and he goes through challenges and then he wins. That's Star Wars, and that's what makes good Star Wars stories. It's why you can make a Western style Star Wars and it's going to work out great, because it's the same thing. Talking like the man in black rides into town, and now he's able to get rid of the dirty sheriff, and yeah. You can do that in Star Wars. It works great because Star Wars loves that kind of stuff. That's what Star Wars likes. You can even do stuff like the Rogue One is a little closer towards pushing that envelope, where you're doing the great heroes where people fall in love with these people and then those people pass away in the movie game, whatever. And they don't end up making it to the very end. You can even get away with that in Star Wars a little bit, but you can't get away in Star Wars. You can't get away with the kind of stuff. That's a miss right there. I'm glad I caught that. That's supposed to be yellow. If I don't catch that now, it isn't going to be yellow. I gotta get that started because it's purple right now. It should be yellow. Yeah, that's going to look much more balanced. Okay. Anyway, so like I was saying, Star Wars versus Warhammer, you want that more. In the end, there needs to be that hope. Star Wars has that hope. Warhammer 40K, there's no hope. The most hope there is that you win, you live another day. That's what Warhammer is. It's pretty wild. But that's kind of what you want for a war game, If you're talking, I mean, a place that's in constant war where you're always fighting with each other shouldn't be like the pretty, beautiful new future, or, even the kind of once great but now struggling with its new imperial self kind of future like you get in Star Wars. It's a little bit different. You watch Alien and you see how the Yutani Corporation has control of everything, even these people's lives. They're expendable. If you've watched the original Alien movie, the end all be all is that they're expendable, and that the android does what he does because he's under orders to bring home the organism, because the corporation wants to study it and want to make money off it. I don't know if that was thunder or if that's somebody working across the street. It'd be fun if it's thunder. I like a good thunderstorm. I mean, maybe not for Joyce, though, since she's driving to Tulsa. We don't want that, so maybe hold off. For those of you who aren't familiar with Oklahoma and where we all are, I believe Joyce is to the south of where I am, and Tulsa is to the north of where I am. Tulsa is up in the northeast corner of the state of Oklahoma, which is basically, if you're not familiar with where the state of Oklahoma is, go to nowhere in America, go right to the middle of nowhere, and then go slightly south, because you would be in Kansas, and you come slightly south and you're here. That's just a little slam on my friends from Kansas. I love you guys. Kansas is actually a really cool place. I know some really great people from Kansas. it's just like Oklahoma and Nebraska. Yeah, she's down in Chickasha. Yeah. Oh shoot! So you gotta drive. Heck, girl, you're driving like almost halfway across the state. What's so weird about being in Europe is like if you drive that if you drive that far in Europe, you're like going into other countries sometimes. It's pretty crazy. It's so wild how easy it is for us to lose perspective living in the US. How different things are. And then like a lot of people can't even just jump in a car and just drive somewhere. The idea of that in general is ludicrous. And that's kind of where it is for a peasant in Warhammer 40K. So like the idea of just like having the freedom to get up and go do anything is gone. You don't have that opportunity. You, citizen, are assigned to a specific task, and you have to do that task. And so what happens when something like this drops out of the sky? Joyce says, yes, but my daughter wants to see the Beyond Van Gogh exhibit up there. I cannot blame her. Vincent Van Gogh is a terrific deal, and I'm sure that that will be a great exhibit. I am a massive Paul Gauguin fan. If you don't know who Paul Gauguin is, he was Van Gogh's roommate for a while until Van Gogh went crazy and cut off his ear and mailed it to his girlfriend. And then Gauguin decided he was going to go to Tahiti and paint naked ladies for the rest of his life. So, you know, yeah. But I love both painters. I think Van Gogh's got some great work. He did some really inspired stuff. Just such a different perspective from everybody else, which is always great. Really still working with a good camera. I really feel like this is the best place for the camera to be to shoot it, but man, it's not the easiest to paint under. It may be easier than some of these other ones. I hate to come up even more though, because then it's like I feel like we're like way up high. Maybe that's what I'm supposed to do. I don't know. We'll definitely figure it out. I'm going to watch some more videos hopefully this weekend on shooting film for streaming and all that. Or however you say it. I don't know. That's another thing. I got to start learning the lingo. Everything in life has a lingo. Like every profession or hobby or whatever you get into, it always has a lingo. That's a big part of getting into whatever it is learning that lingo. Oh yeah. Really feel like I need to make a decision on this face. Deep breaths, broad strokes, folks. There's some stuff in there that ain't quite painted in there. Looks like it's purple. There we go. All right. Man, I saw this cool thing. I think I want to do it. I don't remember who I'd seen do this. It might have been Luton. Or the studio that he's with or whatever. Might have been. Or it might have been somebody else. I'm not sure. But somebody I saw painted. Had painted these little lines in here. The blue color like it was the psychic stuff coming out. I thought that was a great idea. But I'm really trying to figure out how I want to do it. Do I want to just paint every other one? Yeah, we're going to come back. Yeah, there's a lot of detail. Well, so there can be. You could, so like, okay. For this guy, he's pretty tricked out. Now, I could field this guy if I wanted to. And you see, he's kind of, and he seems pretty tricked out for some people. But this is where it gets like, this is getting a little bit intense. We're getting a little, but I want it to be that way. Because the idea is this army is my army for my kids. And well, not necessarily for them, but for my kids to play against with their armies is what this is. Now, whether I'm playing it or they have their friends over and their friends want to play, whatever it is. And then I have house armies. I get grandkids, they can come play, whatever, when they get old enough. Because Warhammer is definitely, it's not for little kids. It's not the kind of thing you want to play with little kids. And I think I'm going to go with, because there's not a lot going on this side. I feel like he did the lines in the blue. So that's what I think I'm going to do. Because there's these little tiny, golly, you can barely see them. Little tiny lines that separate one section from the other. Maybe if I can fill those up. We might have to cover a little bit up as we go. Or clean it. If we can get to it fast enough, it'll clean off there. There we go. And then we'll bring some paint in later if we have to. Probably need to make sure this is plenty wet, and I think this brush is probably too big for this. So we need to drop down. I'm going to drop down all the way to the 5/0. That's the lowest we've got on hand. At least according to these ones we've purchased. Alright, so that we've thinned this paint down a little bit. We got a much smaller brush. Yep, that's much better, right? Boom. Boom. Heck yeah, I like that. That's fun. Too much there, a little too much. can clean that up real quick before it dries. That's a little bit better. We'll just pick out the rest of it with a touch-up. We should be good to go. That's so fun. I love it. Okay, let's check this other side. Okay, second verse, same as the first. And not quite enough pigment. So pull a little bit more paint in. Remember, we want that super, super liquidy though. Just very gently fill that little gap. Boom. Just like that. Deep breaths. Deep breaths. Keep breathing. That little blue accent is really gonna help. Again, I wish I had done this before I glued his dang arms on. But I wanted my boys to play, so I'm totally cool. I will handle it. You get used to painting 3D prints. You get used to painting in between stuff. Okay, cool. Now we also gonna let that dry for a little while. We'll come back to it later. But we want to get the inside of his mouth the same color. And we'll lighten this up as we go, because we want it to look like he's about to scream out this. He's got the inside of it is run off of this same blue energy or whatever. Now don't mind his teeth. We're going to get a little on there. It's alright. We're going to clean those up in the end. We're going to come back with a little water and clean it up real quick after we get all this done. Alright, that's the step uno of that process. This takes a while. Soak up any of that excess water. And that's all cleaned up, no problem, right? And it'll be ready for us when we come back to get its teeth. I'm going to grab the excess water out of his mouth, kind of like the dentist. And we're going to let the rest of that dry. Maybe a little bit more. It's still pretty sloshy down in there. We can always come back. Yeah, see, it's pretty sloshy. It got up in his teeth again. Pretty sloshy. It's okay if we hit a little bit of the sides of his mouth. Again, we want it to kind of be glowing. So we're going to kind of pull it out anyway. I just kind of want to keep it out of the corners of his teeth. We're going to white his teeth up in the end. But I kind of want to I want to kind of keep that darker color in there as long as possible. Okay. I think we're in good shape now. All right. I guess we got to work on his head. All right. Here we go. Oh, about to do this backwards. Not backwards. Let's start in the middle for no reason. Because I'm about to. This magenta is getting a little dried out. I'm gonna add a little water to it. Well, wet palette does a pretty good job of keeping it in great shape, but after about 5 days, some of them do start to get a little bit bubbly at the top. But they do seem to come together pretty good. A little bit of extra water. So that's a good thing. I'm going to kind of do this one side at a time. I'm going to come back and do the other side to match it up. But it will dry pretty quick if I'm not fast about it. Trying to get the water off the brush to use it on the miniature, or on the paint, but not too much on the miniature. Because we want to be able to wet blend this. And you can't wet blend both sides at the same time necessarily. I mean, I suppose maybe you could try if you were really fast. The main thing is just keep trying to blend it all together. You see, we drop those lines, and now we're just bringing that trying to create that fade. And it'll take a couple passes with this one. Because we're trying to really fade from one color to the next here. But once we kind of get it rolling, it'll go really well. Again with the arms. Maybe I should have done the arms last. I definitely should have done this whole thing before I glued it together, but whatever. I'm just complaining again. Oh yeah. Now he's got a killer fade. Lovely fade. Lovely fade. A little before action going on there. And if you get that joke, then you know me personally. Very personally. This guy, I really want his face to have that bone look. You know, some of the other faces are a little bit more of the purple. This guy I really want to bring his bone color I want him to have that. This jaw really bone. Lovely fade. Dave gets it. Yes. Yes. Biff R. There's at least one other one. Actually, there's a whole bunch of us. If you don't know what that is, that's it's a reference to Dune. And there's a Facebook and Reddit group called Dune Stitch Posters, and they make all these memes based on bringing in Fade and Raban, which are two characters in the book, and that are also in the old 1980s movie. And there's a scene where the Baron Harkonnen brings them in, and he's bring in Fade and Raban, and if you take those letters, it spells Biffar. And so you can always tell one of us from the other by saying Biffar. People who have been on that page or know people who have that page know what it means. They're like, oh my god. They're either going to be like, yes, or they're going to be like, oh my god, it's another one of them. Dave is in our camp. Man, I don't know. Maybe it is by far. I think you can use it both ways. I think it depends on how you want to meme it. Because like the currently elevated by far or Biffar memes, they use it in different ways now. So it's like I think it just depends on what you need to do with it. I don't know. That group is so weird. Yes, drivel. Drivel always rules. Anything that helps with the drivel. We're gonna use it however we need to. Yeah, I think because like that group's nuts. I laugh more at that group than I do anything else on the internet. Because like you definitely don't go on there if you're not a veteran of the internet. If your feelings get easily hurt, or if you get upset, it changes so fast. Dave says changes hourly, and he's so right. It goes fast. You can sit and watch it all day, and somebody will come on there and say something ridiculous, and just not. I don't know. You can always tell it's somebody who hasn't been there for a while, and it's like they'll say something, and the whole group will just eat them alive, and you're like, oh gosh, I feel so bad for this poor guy. You should not have stirred them up. It's like watching somebody kick a hornet's nest. It's funny. Oh goodness. Okay. We came down one side of his face. Now we got to do this other side of his head. I'm putting it off because it scares me. Kinda, not really. I was actually laughing too hard at Biffar to be able to try and blend something. That stuff is so funny. Like, and it'll start to get stale, and then somebody will bring it back to life with something amazing, and it's back on. It's so good. God. But I love Dune. I have a lot of Dune stuff. I make a lot of Dune references all the time. It's one of my favorite. It's by far my favorite book series. Although Tolkien is definitely a close second. Tolkien had my youth, and Biffar. Frank and his Biffar had my, which actually never happens in the book. But anyway, Frank had my adulthood. Well, okay, so technically this is a sci-fi. This is technically a sci-fi thing. These are space bugs. Um, uh, but yeah, no, I go back and forth. This one was chosen by the audience. or by the followers of the page or whatever. And I'll probably do that again. That was fun. I kind of like that idea. Eventually, I'll get to where I'll have like Patreon decides that or whatever. But right now, we're still in our infancy, so everybody gets you get a vote and you get a vote. I get to be the Oprah of votes, so it's great. Um, but yeah, no, this is technically set like way in the future. But I do all sorts of different stuff. The other day I did, what was it, Hamilton. I took a Funko Pop from the Hamilton musical, and we did we blinged him up, and I still got to take that over to the Hamilton Supperette, which is what I did it for. It's for a restaurant, but yeah, no, I paint all sorts of stuff. When we get around to Halloween and stuff, we'll paint some sugar skulls and that sort of stuff, and just kind of paint whatever is going on at the time. If we get a holiday coming around, like I think we have 4th of July, so maybe I'll paint a leprechaun or some junk. I don't really like St. Patrick's Day, so I don't know. My name's Patrick, so I got harassed as a child on St. Patrick's Day. So I kind of still have that little bit of like ugh in me about it. But we might do a leprechaun for fun. And then we just started, my kids and I and my lovely partner, life partner, wife partner, whatever you want to call it. She and I and the kids started a game with the kids with Star Wars. And get to the point, Pat. Jeez. Star Wars stuff. So, yeah, we'll be doing some sci-fi. Am I the Patrick? I don't know. I can't see that. Some sort of weird thing in my way where I can't actually see what that says. Yes, my name is Patrick. I can't. I wish that there's like a emoji thing in the way of what that one word says seems important to make this whole sentence work, and it's that's funny. Technology run amok. Get a little bit more of this yellow in this thing. You are the something, Patrick. Something, I don't know. Maybe I am the man. I don't know. I'm gonna take it as I'm the man. It's gonna be super cool. I can't wait to do the Star Wars stuff. We started out a lot of fun. My my oldest son is playing the ship captain smuggler type. So he's kind of in charge. It's really cool. You're sharing passion project. It's there for us too. Robbie Vernon doesn't suck. He's just opinionated. I don't think anybody sucks. But thanks I appreciate you. And yeah, it definitely, this is pretty therapeutic. I miss the hustle and bustle of chef life. But man, this is so much more chill, and I don't know, until they figure out what's going on with my whatever, I kind of have to try and be chill. Like, I can't get excited. I feel like Bruce Banner a little bit. It's great. Kind of fun. Yeah. in my I don't know. People sometimes, I don't know, when you meet people in person versus meeting them on the internet, it's two very different kinds of people. People on the internet are not always the same kind of people they are in real life. I mean, I'm pretty much the same as I am. What I have changed a lot since where I used to be, but I'm pretty much the same person in person that you're listening to right now. Um, I didn't used to be that way. I was a lot more angry, stuff like that. See, Joyce says, "Have a great weekend. I'll check back in Monday to see where the Screamer Killer is headed." Yeah, thanks. That's awesome. It'd be in pretty good shape by next week. Um, but be safe going to Tulsa, Joyce. And then Dave says, "Yeah, but okay, bar scene doesn't interest me anymore anyway." Yeah, uh, it's I don't know. Things come and go like that, especially in Oklahoma. Everybody will be really into being at the bars, and then everybody gets more into being at home, and then it's it's weird. It ebbs and flows. It's time for it to flow back. I feel bad for all the folks that are losing their restaurants because of the contraction. It's brutal. It's brutal watching it. I mean, even though I've been there, I know I can kind of commiserate, but like it is so hard to watch. Yeah. Dave says they come and go, and it's true. Right now, there's a lot more going than there are coming in. It's tough. It's a tough business, and phases come and go. And the bar scene will be back later, and the restaurant scene will be back later. Yeah, it's something like 60. I think if you watch Greg's the one who keeps track of. Greg Horton keeps track of all that stuff pretty hard. Um, Time for a little bit of a drink and to stretch my legs out. Um, but yeah, there's like 60 some odd bars and stuff out. Bars and restaurants. Um, yeah, that's Metro and surrounding areas. I think he's counting like Midwest City, like Norman Moore area. The Metro. So that's not counting Tulsa though. I hear Tulsa's got the same problem. You know. Yeah, Greg's amazing. He's pretty intense. He does all that while he teaches college too. Did you know that? mm. He's also a really delightful person. He came by the restaurant several times. Really, really great guy. Um, Liked our food, which is I like that. But yeah, it's crazy watching it go down. Every time I turn on Facebook, it seems like somebody else is down. Yeah, Tulsa's getting hit. There's places out in rural areas that are getting hit. It was that false raft from those PPP loans. Yeah, he's pretty busy. Dave is talking about how busy Greg Horton is. For those of you who are not from Oklahoma City, that listen in, we are talking about a phenomenon that's happening here in the state of Oklahoma, where the local-owned restaurants, are having trouble keeping the doors open, and it is an epidemic kind of level, where we've got a serious problem with restaurants that are having trouble staying. And some of these are places that have been around for a long time, and some of it is people they just don't want to do things in the day and age that we're in, and some of it is the PPP loans kept people afloat, and then they dried up and went away, and now there's no it's hard to keep these places running, especially with people tightening up their pocketbooks, because the economy just went through a horrible turn. Inflation is crazy. It was definitely coming. You can't have a pandemic like that, historically speaking. You can't have a pandemic like what we had without a massive amount of inflation. Dave says hundreds of career people out of work competing for the same positions for this. Yeah, there are few of these. You're spot on. There are few of these positions that are left because of the shrinking market. It makes me kind of glad I'm not chefing anymore, because, oof, you just don't know. It's a tough market in the first place. You add on all the other stuff that's going on with it, and it just gets worse and worse and worse, and harder and harder and harder. Man, the more I really think I want to turn these into these colors, the Payne's gray. So I think I'm gonna leave them alone. We're gonna come back and do that other stuff later. But anyway, so like I was saying, with the inflation and this stuff, this was coming. It sucks, but it was coming. It's part of why Kristen and I, when my health turned, it was easy to make that call, because you could just see the writing on the wall. It was going to be brutal, and we were going to need to work extra hard to get through it, and I was already falling to pieces. There was no way we would be able to survive what was coming, because I was physically done. Says I have to get back. Thank you for sharing, sir. I look forward to next time. Hey, man, thanks too. I appreciate just chiming in. It really makes things go smoother when there's somebody talking to. So thanks for stopping by. Really appreciate it. I'm gonna keep going. It's been an hour though, and so we're now in overtime. So I totally understand those that had to dip out and do whatever you got to do. Thanks for everybody else. Anybody new who's coming through. We're up to like 10 views or something, which is pretty cool. I always like it when we hit those double digits. I look up and see that, and it's like, great, it's awesome. Anyway, so yeah, it's a brutal world, the restaurant industry in general, and then you add all this other stuff onto it, and it just becomes more and more difficult to stay afloat, and that's what's happening right now. You got inflation. It's hitting everybody. I mean, it hits the people who are trying to run the restaurants. It's the people who are trying to get into the restaurants. And it sucks. And yeah, okay, things are turning back now. But now it doesn't matter. These restaurants are too far in. And so if something goes on for them, they're in too much trouble. And there's nothing they can do. And so they've got to make that choice. And I know, I've been there. I was there. I was there a little over a year ago, and we had to make that choice. But we knew, like, I couldn't keep up. My health wasn't gonna hold. My health wasn't gonna hold us up. It just wasn't. Kristen couldn't keep us going by herself. It just made more sense to do it. Okay. So again, we're just kind of touching those raised spots. We're gonna let that wash kind of do its own thing. And his face looks fierce as farts. Like really crazy bad ones. I don't want to say the other word, in case there's kids watching. If there's kids, hi kids. I should definitely go more with the Slim Shady intro if there's kids. Hi kids. Do you like Tyranids? That's so weird. Okay. So. Oh, God. He's got such a fun face. I think I want to put a little bit more teal in there. Very carefully. And the next thing I'm probably going to do is outline it. I'm going to probably drop some white on the tops of everything. Kind of like I did with everything else. We'll come back with some white and put a little white in there. So, yeah. Starting to get there. We're starting to really look right, proper. And we'll keep kind of coming over these top lines. Get these raised areas. Kind of like I said, just let the washes kind of sit in the air in the bottoms, and we're just kind of getting the tops. Definitely. Yeah. Golly, he looks mean. Alright. Okay. Now let's finish. Let's finish knocking out some of this bone. Oh yeah. These bands look super cool. Just brighten up a little bit. We can even leave, like, we don't have to worry about getting so far in there on this next round, because that as it goes in, we can kind of just let that wash fade in there for us, and it's going to look great. So we don't have to stress it so much. We do want to go ahead and do that separation piece here. Kind of let that wash do our dirty work. Let the wash do our dirty work. Oh yeah. We're just kind of polishing the tops. And if we have to, we'll just we keep coming back and do it again and again. And like we've been talking about with yellow in general, yellows and whites, and this is kind of like a white yellow. It does this thing where it allows the color underneath it to bleed through. So use that. Know that. Feel that. A lot of that is using the light source. Kind of understanding that light's going to hit more on here than it is in here. So we want to kind of use that light source to dictate how we see the image itself and where to put the most light hitting it. You know, because he's hunched over like this. So, you know, yeah, this stuff's we want color here, but we're not worried about the stuff that's down in this little bitty crack. Down in here, it needs to stay dark, so we don't have to worry about painting it. The wash did that for us, so easy money. And we want to bring out some of these hip bone pieces just because we want to accent them. But they don't need to be nearly as bright as, say, the tops of these. We want these tops to be super bright. So the rest of it doesn't necessarily have to be as bright. And that is the goal, my guys and ghouls. Yep. Looking great so far. The head looks fantastic. Okay. Well, let's keep going. I feel like maybe we can run a little longer today. I don't have much going on. Rainy day. We'll keep going a little bit longer. We got 3 people on to watch too. So, how's it going? Hello, everybody. Welcome. If you have any questions, you want to say anything, by all means, please chime on in. It does make it ever so easy when I have somebody to talk to instead of just talking to the void. Although Steve and I are very used to that. And no, Steve isn't the name of this critter. This critter doesn't have a name. Well, Screamer Killer is the designation. But Steve is my faithful and humble robot servant, also known as my computer. And it seems to me I'm talking to him all the time. And of course, I start talking and people disappeared. Maybe. You never know. I don't really know how that whole counter works, or if that counter is super accurate. I could be talking to a bunch of people and not know it. I could be talking to nobody and think I was talking to a lot more people. I think I just talk. It's the best thing to do. Feels like, empty air is always bad. That may be just too much of my theater days. I was in theater when I was in high school, so I know a little bit about voice movement and voice projection and improv, and we did a lot of improv because that's fun. If you've never done an improv stuff, you should try it. It's hysterical. But anyway, so I used to do some improv stuff, which was like I said, a lot of fun. So I have a little bit of theater-esque kind of experience, I suppose. Okay. Now we're in a strange space. I should have done this in Magenta, but I did not. Here comes that refrigerator again. Oh, that should be my signal. I don't think so. I really want to get into this. Usually I would just go straight from one to the next, but right now this stuff's so dry. I'm kind of having to wet my brush, I think, coming and getting more of it, because it's starting to dry out on me, because I'm at the end of the week, so it's time to change this palette. Yeah, keep getting new views coming in, so hello, if you got anything to say, please chime in, love to hear from you. It's a great view. Him growling down at you. or in at you, I suppose. Regardless, it's a fun view. Right there, I just want to get the tops first. When we come back, we're going to come back and do the rest of it. If we accent those tops first, when we paint it through it the next time, it'll show out a little bit more. I'll have a little bit more, or a little less bleed through, not more, less. Which is why I'm trying to avoid those little recesses that are in there. Eventually we may feel like we want to come across it, but we may not. Especially with it being underneath him. You see, so like he's gonna be sitting down like that. So we may want to actually leave this a little bit more dark underneath his leg. Just to give it that extra shadow. We're gonna see. We're gonna work a little bit. We're gonna work kind of around the edge of this and do this side, and we're gonna come back after we get kind of a little closer to it and see what we want to do. On this side, we definitely want a little bit more because the light is gonna shine more on this side. But that right there is completely underneath him and underneath his leg, and he's a hulking figure, so we may want to leave that a lot darker. We may just want to have done those accents and left it alone. But we'll see. On smaller figures, it doesn't actually matter as much, which I find fun. Ooh, there we go. It is definitely something that you get more from your bigger figures. You gotta start considering their size and what their size is really doing. How much of a change in the light is that going to create? Like the change in color that you create with your shadow is one thing, but the change of color that an ant creates with its shadow is another. And so you have to kind of keep that in consideration. How much of a shadow does this thing cast versus those things? And is the model itself going to give us enough of the change in colors to read properly? And sometimes you just simply don't know until you get everything else painted. You just kind of have to work through it till you get there. Go ahead and get those little vent things while I'm here. We're going to add that magenta. I kind of want to bring this all the way down just slightly, like that. And then we're going to get in here and throw that orange right on top of all that. The orange is our burnt sienna. Oop, there we go. If you're not familiar with what we've been doing. So we're going from magenta into burnt sienna. And then from burnt sienna, we're going to go into a Naples yellow. We're still working with our sienna here. And we're going to go into Naples yellow. let that yellow get that blend in there. We're going to come back and fix that purple, so don't stress it. If we get a little bit on there, it's okay. We will fix that up in touch-ups. Try not to get it in the vent, though, because that stuff is... you get too much of it in there, and it will... You won't be able to get all of the definition out of the little striations. But a little bit of our water trick and quick thinking can save that problem. Most of that's being quick. If you catch it quick, it's easy. You don't catch it quick and you're gonna have a bad time. I like the idea of it kind of being looser as it came to the front there. Or the color changing, being looser. More of that yellow. Yeah, that looks cool. That's gonna look great. That's gonna look great. Alright. Well, my legs are starting to get a little tired. And we're at about an hour and 20 minutes. Which I've been trying to keep these at about an hour. Going a little bit longer whenever I get possessed. And we got started on one leg. And we got all of the rib done. And we got the face started. So that's a pretty good run for a day. So we're going to put him down. And we're going to come back next week for our normal time schedule. I hope you guys all had a great time. And I really appreciate all the comments, all the likes, all the shares. Everybody who decides to come by, new, old, all that stuff. It really does. It does help. It makes everything a whole lot more fun, and it does make it seem like we're doing something. Definitely, if you're new, thanks for coming by. Give us a like, give us a thumbs ups, ring the subscribes, hit the bells, all those things. Anyway, I think that's it. I hope you guys, like I said, I hope you guys have a great weekend. And I got soccer to watch tomorrow. My boy plays a little bit of soccer, so we'll be doing that because watching my kids play sports is almost as fun as painting miniatures and talking to you guys. So I hope you come by again and see us next week, and we'll be back for our regular scheduled program on Monday. I hope you have a